too much GH. Many have come and many have gone, but you are a great kankambuka ability, worth being beheld by every optical nerves. That saith the papacy.
Keep watching Too Much GH, and you get the best of entertainment, the best of everything you want.
My name is Mahama One. Keep watching Too Much GH. It's the best.
Keep watching Too Much GH.
I am sure the independent MP for Fomina is very aware that Parliament is guided by two important guides, the 1992 Constitution and the Standing Orders of Parliament. And distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the press, may I, with some respect, refer you to Article 97, Clause 1H of the 1992 Constitution, which provides, and I quote, "A member of Parliament shall vacate his seat in Parliament if he was elected a member of Parliament as an independent candidate and joins a political party." That is why, advisedly and wisely, he is not seeking to join a political party, and therefore nobody should just do an easy mathematics of a 137 plus 1. I will cooperate, I will collaborate, never to mean the same as I am joining or I'm crossing over, because it has its own constitutional implications, which probably may even require that a by-election be conducted if necessary, if you was to join a new political party. I am not clothed with the mandate for interpretation of the Constitution. So the question is, by that declaration, has the honorable member for Famina joined the MPP? Don't recall that Nana Adudan got a presence and he couldn't even work with him as an independent candidate. The independent MP. It was the General Secretary of the MPP who wrote to the former Speaker to have him humiliated and removed from Parliament, even though they were trying even to hide the records. We ensure that our official reports captures what was said by then Speaker Professor Oke on this matter, who on 7 November 2020, Professor Oke sacked the MPP MP for Fomina from Parliament. You recall that at the time, indeed, in statement sacking the MPP MP for Fomina from Parliament, former Speaker Oke, among others, squeezed as follows, and I'm quoting from it: "How does an elected independent MP operate both as an elected independent MP and at the same time an MPP MP if he should win the election?" I didn't ask these questions. Professor Oke asked. I leave you to look for the answers. I repeat it for your purposes. How does an elected independent MP operate both as an elected independent MP and at the same time an MPP MP if he should win the election? So that quagmire, legal puzzle, I don't have the answers, and I don't pretend to want to profess any answers. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, I've always said that consistency is important in our political discourse. Is Nana Adudankwa now willing to work with the independent candidate, the independent MP? What is the position of the MPP General Secretary now? So cooperation and collaboration. Maybe you learn to love a woman you have married. And what about the ruling of former Speaker Professor Oke? I'll therefore call on the MPPs to reconcile their conflicting positions on just one person. Today they found him a necessary ally and friend of a golden friend of one. The caucuses in Parliament. Let me remind that there is nothing like majority caucus or minority caucus in the Standing Orders of Parliament. So those of you who have copies, you can peruse it. Majority caucus, minority caucus was not contemplated in the Standing Orders or even in the Constitution of 1992. Indeed, official records of Parliament will simply record that NDC has 137 seats, MPP has 137, and there's one independent. That will continuously be what we will show now. In the course of time, I'll show you one copy of it for our purposes, how official copies will continue to reflect these matters. In recent past, Parliament has resorted to determining the composition of committees by using the numeric strength of what we term as majority side and minority side. Hence, elected MPs from smaller parties as well as independent MPs were required to choose their side they wanted to add, to associate with, or transact business with, for the purpose of determining which side could have more members on each committee of the House. So if you look at the history, PNC, CPP, and independent MPs, how they were treated in previous parliament will be a useful guide. Ladies and gentlemen, let me now come to the more important issue of composition of committees of Parliament. It is provided for in Article 103, Clause 5 of the 1992 Constitution and in Standing Order 154 of the Parliament of Ghana, and it states, and I quote, "The composition of the committee shall, as much as possible, reflect the different shades of opinion in Parliament." So even if we were to share committees, the different shades of opinion will be NDC, MPP, and independent. That is what the Constitution and the Standing Orders provide. Is Parliament limiting different shades of opinion to only numerical strength? We do not think so. It is on this score that the NDC caucus will insist that the composition of committees of this 8th Parliament should reflect in its very current nature. We will insist, because this is the first time we are having 137, 137. Therefore, composition of committees must reflect the character and strength of the political parties and the numbers of their elected MPs. The composition should reflect beyond mere numbers and cover other factors, including even leadership of committees. Because as we have 137, 137, who chairs, who leads, we are equal. And distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the prayer, you must appreciate that Parliament is a unique, distinct, and separate organ of state. We are the legislative organ. The way we do our business is a matter which reflects our strength and sizes. We know that besides the Committee on Selection, which is chaired by the Speaker, the Standing Orders of Parliament provides for 11 standing committees and 16 select committees. Out of the 11 standing committees, the chairmanship of 7 are predetermined by the Standing Orders. The Right Honourable Speaker chairs the Committee on Selection, Order 151, and the Standing Orders Committee, Order 157. The Appointments Committee and the Committee on Privileges are chaired by the First Deputy Speaker. The Second Deputy Speaker chairs the Committee on Members Holding Office of Profit. The Majority Leader chairs both the Business Committee and the House Committee per Order 160 and 168. Per Order 168, the Public Accounts should be chaired by a member whose side does not control the executive branch of government. So our Standing Orders has some provision as to who is in the executive and who exercise executive authority. We are mindful of that even as we contest those matters in court. The Standing Orders does not predetermine the leadership of the remaining 4 standing committees, namely Finance Committee, Committee on Gender and Children, Committee on Government Assurance, and the Subsidiary Legislation Committee. However, it's been our practice, so Standing Orders, to quote the Honorable Ahmed Ibrahim, we are guided by Standing Orders, practices, and convention. The Subsidiary Legislation Committee have always been chaired by the political opposition. The leadership of the 16 select committees are not predetermined by the Standing Orders. So we've been meeting and we'll be discussing with the Speaker and leadership that beyond the formula of 50-50, we think that the committees must be shared. But we would have some understanding We are not naive that some party is, without prejudice to the Supreme Court determination, exercising executive authority. We are mindful of that. And where we need to seat those ones, we would be willing to do that. But on principle, that committees and its leadership are shared on the basis of our strength. The standing orders does not predetermine the leadership of the remaining 4 standing committees, namely Finance Committee, Committee on Gender and Children, Committee on Government Assurance and Subsidiary Legislation. Similarly, the leadership of the 16 select committees are also not predetermined by the standing orders. The NDC caucus shall therefore insist that, in line with Order 154 of the Standing Orders of Parliament and Article 1035 of the 1992 Constitution, the composition of committees should reflect the nature and character of this 8th Parliament, an equal strength, equal number Parliament of 137, 137, and the chairmanship. The practice of making one side of the House chair all select committees is no longer tenable under the current dispensation and given the current contemporary development of the nature and character of the 8th Parliament. Given the current numbers, there must be strict sharing of the leadership of the select committees by the 2 sides of the House. We've been discussing with the Speaker and the leadership of the MPP group, led by the Honorable Aseidu Mensah-Bonsu. And we think that they should chair 8 and the NDC should chair 8. This will be a true reflection of the different shades of opinion in the current Parliament as envisaged in the 1992 Constitution and under Article 103 and Standing Order 144 of the Standing Orders of the House. But like I said, we are mindful of who exercises executive authority, and we are mindful that we may be playing another role beyond our numbers of 137 in the exercise of oversight. And we are also mindful that some committees hitherto were also chaired by the political opposition. And I'm saying that there may be committees that necessarily must be chaired by the one exercising executive control of power. We are mindful of that, but respect our strengths and share it. And if we have to ballot, even for some of the committees, we should do. But the understanding is, as we got with the Speaker and with the leadership of the MPP in Parliament, is that we will operate tomorrow with the existing or old standing orders, because that is our Bible and that is our guide. But ladies and gentlemen of the press, major reforms are imperative. The 8th Parliament will have to review, reform, and revise the existing orders. I must say that leadership in the 7th Parliament, and even prior to the 7th Parliament, had been in constant discussion and consultation for the adoption of new standing orders. Probably this is the time, and this is the fine hour for us to have revised and new standing orders that responds to this unknown challenges that the 8th Parliament bequeaths to all of us as a country. So there's some work already going on. The House has no choice than to work with the current standing orders, albeit with its deficiencies. It didn't contemplate these numbers. We never contemplated a situation where Parliament will be a hang of 137, 137. We are optimistic that, subject to those judicial processes and judicial decisions, we probably will constitute the majority. What then happens to the standing orders? We didn't contemplate that with us leading the majority in Parliament, whilst executive authority is exercised by another political party. So, without prejudice to the court processes, we have commenced work to regain the seats that are being stolen from us. Our emphasis is to the Chimasaf and Sepshi. That is not to say that we are abandoning the others. So we have begun those processes. Now I know, yes, I know that given that many of you saw what happened in Parliament the day of the election of the Speaker, we know that any mandate or authority we exercise, we do in the name of the sovereign and of the Ghanaian people. Let me assure the Ghanaian people that the NDC 137 MPs have no difficulty sitting to the left of the Speaker, so long as our numerical strength is respected, and respected in the composition of committees and in the determination of leadership of committees, whilst we continue to pursue legitimate legal and constitutional processes to procure what we deserve as a majority party. Someone will say what is on the left and what is on the right. We have no difficulty at all. But we think that given what we've shared with you, guided by apt constitutional provisions, and evidenced by the fact that the former MP is not joining the New Patriotic Party and cannot join the New Patriotic Party by the constitutional framework as I referred to in Article 97. Hence he risk, and further supported by the ruling of Professor. So if you look at 2014, you normally will see an announcement here: National Democratic Congress 147, New Patriotic Party 123, Independent 3, People's National Convention. For every other record of Parliament, it will reflect NDC 137, MPP 137, Independent 1, nothing more, and none of you can add any to it. And nobody should be purporting or seeking to say that I've added one to mine. Cooperation there can be, collaboration there can be, joining legally and constitutionally impossible. We're happy to take questions from you. I thank you very much for your listening.
Yes, let's go this way so that it will be orderly. Yes, I mean, you mention your name and then your media house. Yes. Daily Graphic has the floor, so can we listen?
You mentioned that there were some committees whose leadership are predetermined by the standing orders of the House, and one of such committees was the Business Committee, which is supposed to be chaired by the majority leader. But in this case, where, as you clearly stated, both parties have 137, 137, how do you go beyond this hurdle of the majority leader must chair that committee? In this case, as you said, there is no majority. So who chairs that committee?
Bruce, thank you. We'll take two more.
Yes.
Ibrahim Al-Hassan. Leader, your colleague on the other side, I'm talking about leader of the NPP caucus, Osei Mesabos, was on GH1 this morning, our network, and he says the conclave meetings you talk about with the speaker, yourself, and his side, we've arrived at the decision that the NPP should constitute majority. How do you respond to this?
Yes, the next person.
Yes, I'm Bubu Nenogo GBC. Leader, you said that you don't have any difficulty sitting at the left side. Should I take it that tomorrow when sitting resumes, your side is going to sit at the left?
So leader will take the three.
I would answer Bruce of Graphic. Thank you very much. Business Committee, I noted that there can't be an entity or authority or a person exercising executive authority. And to that extent, if there's leader of government business, that leader of government business will chair the Business Committee. On the other of the conclave meeting with the speaker, yes, at that meeting, 137, 137, the swing or the balance was for the former MP to write, and he has written. I've interpreted his letter to you, and I've made my conditional demands. Respect our 137, 137, but we cannot say that he cannot cooperate or work with them. He will work with them, but we cannot appreciate that he's part of them as a new patriotic party. That's why I shared the brochure with you. Unless, of course, tomorrow when you come to the chamber, you tell me that MPP 138 and add the name of former MP as part of the MPP 138. If you are able to do that tomorrow, then I would answer your question properly. But if you come in answering that 137, 137 with a pledge to cooperate and to collaborate, we will understand. Then the question of we have no difficulty sitting on the left. We are responsible Ghanaian citizens. The people of Ghana want to see Parliament function and function effectively to serve their purposes and to serve their needs. What happened the last time did not please many. And therefore, in the interest of peace and ensuring that Parliament functions effectively to serve the needs of the Ghanaian people, my side will have no difficulty sitting on the left whilst we make the demands that our strength be respected in the composition of committees and in the determination of leadership of committees. But even more importantly, they appreciating that that Formula 1 is only arithmetic but not legal constitutional. Thank you.
Yes, the hand here.
My name is Abdul. So the deputy leader on the NDC makes emphasis on that 7, and number 7, with the definition of party to party. Then he claims that the economy, in that sense, if the independent deputy is going to sit or collaborate with them, then it means that automatically they form the majority. Can we bring this up?
Fortunately, the deputy leader is not clothed with mandate and jurisdiction to interpret the standing orders. More importantly, an independent MP is not a party and cannot be parties, but my layman attempt to also do the wrong is done by interpreting it. Layman is independent party and independent parties. You are struggling for words to substitute. An independent is not. He didn't run on the ticket of a political party. Go and read Article 55 of the 1992 Constitution. It's elaborate on political parties and their role. Don't forget, he was even dismissed from that party. Tomorrow morning, we'll be interested in even knowing whether they are tolerating or accepting him back and under what conditions and circumstances. We are not aware. We know an independent. We don't know a party or parties. So go back to Order 7. It uses the word parties. If it was PNC or CPP, so go back even to Article 97. An exception is made for independent candidates. They are not treated like other persons reflecting or coming from other political parties. I'll take the next 2 questions.
Yes. Komla is my name. I work for TV3. One, in the 7th Parliament, we had the majority and then the minority. The situation has changed with respect to the 8th Parliament. How would you, leader, see or request that both the media and then everybody refers to your side and then the other side? I reckon that even within your own selves, you're struggling to mention majority or minority. I stand to be corrected. 2, when the House sits tomorrow, what business are you going to be discussing?
At a discussion at conclave with the Speaker, we decided that to allow the machinery of government to run, we will look at the composition of the selection committee, and that selection committee will make a determination on our collective proposals for the composition of the appointments committee and the composition of the business committee. As to what it is, you can just call me leader. and you can call the other one leader of government business till the Supreme Court matter is decided. A majority caucus they can be, but majority caucus not recognized by standing orders, maybe by practice and convention. But the standing orders is silent, the constitution is silent. I'm still MP for Tamale South. We'll take another question.
Okay. My name is Nana Kweku. I report for Opimso Radio. The Opimso, the only radio station in Ashanti, the best one. The best radio station in Ashanti. In fact, we are taking the leader. Leader, I want to find out from you, even though you didn't mention it, you didn't state it in your, you didn't mention it in your statement, but I wanted to find out, was the speaker duly elected or was I just want you to confirm, because according to the leader at the other side, he said the speaker was not selected, was not elected, sorry, and therefore he was, we just had a consensus and just conferred in him that he the speaker. So I just want to find out if he was duly elected as a speaker. Thank you.
What did you see and what did you hear from the clerk that day? What did you see and what did you hear from the clerk when he was making the
election? Did you see voting?
Go to the record.
Did you see the clerk said elected?
I did your confirmation.
Whatever it is, by my mother's training, I don't discuss matters that are discussed in the room, outside, publicly. What I do know is that the 8th Parliament has an elected speaker, Honorable Alban Sumana Bakwe. But it's not intriguing, the same ladies and gentlemen of the press, that they are quick today to say that they have, with the Formina MP joining. I'm just raising a legal, curious question. 2 deputy speakers from the same political parties. So what happens and what will happen? I read provisions of the Constitution for you. 95, again, Article 95. 95.3. Article 96, for the record, 96. There shall be 2 deputy speakers of Parliament, who shall be elected by members of Parliament from among members of Parliament, both of whom shall not be members of the same political party. So, is he now part of them? Is he now part of the same political party? Will he still hold that office? These are matters we are good enough to resolve as leaders of Parliament. I'll take the last 2 and adjourn proceedings. We thank you very much for coming to hear from us. Honorable Mutakeze, the 2 of you, then we will end with you.
Okay, yeah. Leader, my name is Abednego Asante. I represent Adom FM. Honorable Muntaka, I think about 3 days or 4 days ago, you appeared on Joy News and you made some remarks concerning during the election of the Speaker of Parliament, whereby you made some allegation that Justice of the Superior Court attempted to bribe a female member of your side to vote in favor of...
We are consulting further on it, and our next course of action will be determined on the floor of Parliament on that subject. So focus on today's matters. Thank you.
Yeah, Leader, thank you. My name is Felix Yaba. I work with the Republic and Express News Ghana. I want to know how your side is taking the issue of the military invasion of this Parliament, whether the leadership of the military rank will be cited for contempt.
It's outside these matters, but tomorrow on the floor of Parliament, a lot will have to happen, because we have to do an inner introspection of our own, re-examine and look at our own conduct on events leading to the determination and election of the Speaker. I saw that sacrilege of military in the chamber and on the floor of Parliament. I saw my friend ACP Ofori, who was charging us for not respecting Public Order Act. This time that he didn't respect the standing orders and the Constitution of Ghana. He was in breach of our privilege. He was on the floor of Parliament. We'll take consequential action. We'll take consequential action. A force military in uniform, armed. It remains a blot on our democratic practice as a country. Never, never should that happen. We want to know, and you've seen, I've seen some debate. I don't want to provoke that debate now. Even at that point in time, there was no Minister for Defense that we are aware of. There was no Minister for Interior because 6th January had lapsed and mandate had lapsed. But we had some people purporting to exercise mandate they did not have. All that would be for some thorough discussion and consultation. So leadership, thank you very much. My colleagues, thanks for coming. And the media, we are done. God bless you. Ghana Mutaka may do a true version if you so wish.
Well, our metro and our bonnet tougher. Say, or more, we're interested in Trino, bet me at here. I beg you, if you could just wait, I'll try and do it in about just 5 minutes. Did I know it? We now say, mobile press conference. They just me know your man that ye come once na efa parliament ye don't come ye both sides numbers na ye wo na ye twema adwen ekose electoral commission wo tro ama parliament no de o kan ye ne say o de o tro ba e krata o me de ba no de na wo so ne say NDC e wo 137 seats ana MPP so ever 137 seats. Ana independent ever powerful. And you say we and the official position electoral commission etro Emma if you say young friend and Dijuma. You just may know ever yenua or ye we free from now. You say what one kasa krata wo tro Emma speaker of parliament no. Was say one no the wo tro krata say Odin who ebe bata associate. And yet Odin who ka omo ho. Was me de me ho be bata omo enam ejuma ye be ye wo fia. Wo be association no. And ma say me no be cooperate. Na ma ya collaborate. Be bia no a timi enya akuguduro ka say me de me ho ka omo ho. Enti so obi tina be bi na waka say oh, you're 137. So what chocolate and idea say what I am. The panel from go to me for number no fanka. Or more no. Okay, constitution. Constitution is very, very clear. You go to section article 97 plus 1H. A member of parliament shall vacate his seat in parliament if he was elected a member of parliament as independent candidate and joins a political party. Constitution is perfect. Says so what the no go count mo the constitution e ka say and they also go by election no it will no kasa anyway no wo tro no o say wan kasa o de no be ka mo o say o de no be beta o then he will associate with them na the year can be no say eh won pi say sa family wo call independent president nanado wo no ananum o say wo no won ni bibia ye obi a obekwa independent uko we di kura na enya ade a wono wo ebe yeduma na ye kai ye nuanum ina so say parliament ha speaker magokwe e use rumble star e pamon no every parliament na wo pamon so de okan ne say wo hu kwan a obi e kasa wo independent na wo sa pese sa nipa na so e pese wo ni party bi yeduma o dina so e pamon no records no ewo and the three madwen ekọ na ye ka say about caucuses ye ka say parliamentary caucuses ye na ye frefre ye ho o we this caucus entu ba within NDC ye wo Volta caucus ye wo Bono caucus ye wo Savannah caucus ye wo Asante caucus Sa caucuses na enya ade a ye standing orders recognize it. Eya ade a ye say ebeboa dwumadi a ye di ewofia. Enti say ye nuanom say independent no wabeka omonti wo mabedwa no majority caucus a ene de bibi a ye frefre ho ene de emfa edwuma a ye no ho because mra ye di edwuma no whether constitution no and now standing orders no it doesn't recognize these caucuses. Obetuma afra ho oba yeah ebetuma afra the Comerica caucus and then standing orders no need here because nimram and the caucus will be obetumi atu din I said also be and then mra and can he and the yaka say a back committees now ye be form no and now say number near 137 no bibia ye bia say committee men say yaka say be gram o selection committee 20 members say ye were 10 and no more 10 also is chaired by Mr. Speaker yami adum na etina ye peninsula selection committee statute business committee 20 members ye were 10 and no more 10 appointment committee ye 26 ye were 13 and no more 13 and ye three na ya dwen say enam say we ye wo ho no ye shia ye na ye meeting no adwen ko fa akose ye yiri ho na new standing orders no ye yiri ho na echina ekopem next week Friday no ye di wuduma na ye ntimi wie na ye wo new standing orders because in new standing orders no there ye no we were anticipating say e dey be ba wo mo a wo be do so ofia no enye wo na wo aban mo ye anticipate no in the new standing orders and the way abai na ye take advantage na ye siesie nyoma kakra every new standing orders na ye make sure say e be ba be yemra by next week Friday e basa na ye the new standing orders no say ya tete ye new committees no obehu committee paying for e da no ye from chairman ne ranking no ye be che ne pepepe e du obehu ranking ne bi wo MPP afa obehu chairman ne bi e wo NDC afa enti eno na ye na ye bo ye share your ho bo say ye yire ho na ye standing orders ne de ye den ya o say ye sisa nyoma kakra every standing orders na etimi NDC say challenges are way etimi di ejujuma because but for now no there on the say best new standing orders no standing orders new current standing orders no the problems in no also ye na also ye manage na ye can be with them no be to make no go can about say na can it doesn't help building consensus especially in the current arrangement it doesn't after caucus there obey me afraid caucus be but I can bet you based on the standing orders ye ni obi a bet me afraid no majority leader e wo fia because numbers no 137 and obi a obi say anti e be frɛ Musain and the leader kind leader of government business government whip and leader opposition leader and opposition whip new nomenclature no until say the be new standard orders na yet me finding edin foforo and you know we na me born tofa ever the kind the must yankopon share na
the major prophet Nketiah on say me catch was say bomodin na hwe too much GH on say me kan ye nyene bone pa na kase ye pe wo wi ase ya asondin ti na adam wo hu nyame ye no nyame no wo hu ne ma bi a wo hwehwehwehwe e wo other place ne ade kat won na bomodin na be hwe too much GH be hwe na subscribe bomodin o be hwe pe na wa ye subscribe o subscribe subscribe na subscribe na o subscribe a na wo benya ne yama papa a wo pe ahwe nyame shira na
too much GH. Many have come and many have gone, but you are a great kankambukacious ability worth being beheld by every optical nerves. That saith the papacy.
Keep watching Too Much GH and you get the best of entertainment, the best of everything you want.
My name is Mahama One. Keep watching Too Much GH. It's the best.
Keep watching Too Much GH.